Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Dynasty Team Review.com review here for South Harmon. I am Eric Vanek, and you can find me on Twitter at Eric Vanek NFL. And as always, we have another team review today. This is coming from Seanan again. Seanan, thank you again for purchasing this and having us do a team review here. Obviously, with rookie drafts starting up here, and just some have already started, and most are going to be starting here Sunday and Monday. NFL draft day 3 is today, so we'll find out the rest of the draft picks. But we had an exciting first 2 days of the draft, so now is a really, really good time if you need some help. Figuring out your draft picks, where to take your roster from here. This is a good time right now to get some roster reviews in. So, Sean, and we're going to help you out here and look at your team here. So, looking at your settings that you gave us here, it's a 6 point per passing touchdown league, zero point 0.5 points for rushing and receiving first downs, 1.0 tight end premium. So, I'm guessing that's a 2.0 um, for tight end catches, big game yardage bonuses for passing, rushing, and receiving as well. Okay. He envisions his team as a contender here in the future, and some other information he has. He has the 101 and the 109. Have a solid wide receiver corp already, and two starters at quarterback. Running rack room will get me by. Originally, I was planning to take Caleb at the 101, but now I'm playing with the idea of taking Marv at 101 and trying to get my quarterback 3 at the 109. I need help interpreting the warp to make draft pick choices or any other 4D shit to get my team where it needs to be. All right, so we're gonna take a look here at the warp here for you, Seanan. So I'm gonna put that up to the stage here. All right, so looking at the warp here, as you can see, your quarterbacks for your league here are pretty much all below wide receivers and all below running backs, pretty much. Well, besides for like these top running backs, but after that, the quarterbacks drop down a little bit. Running back kind of flattens out there. Um, Tight end is honestly right up there with warp with quarterbacks. So that's another thing you have to think about as well, with especially with the 2.0 tight end premium on it there. So in this kind of a league, I'm okay. Like you said, you got a really good receiver corps. That's awesome. That's kind of what you want here. I want to be starting as many wide receivers as humanly possible that I could be doing here because they're all above quarterback pretty much the entire time. There might be slight overlap here, but and some overlap here, but as wide receiver is king in your league, so that's good. Um, Looking at running backs here a little bit, obviously McCaffrey's going to be up here. Then there's a jump down, but honestly, running back's fairly flat. If we get rid of the receivers there for a second, so we can look at the running backs. I mean, it is pretty flat there for running backs for the most part. And then, like we said, we talked about there for a minute, like the quarterbacks are right on par there with tight ends. They're the top guys are a little bit over the RB 2, 3, 4, 5. But once you get to RB 7 here at James Cook, the RBs take over and the quarterbacks drop down. So, with your assessment of what you said in your notes that you gave to us, I think I kind of agree with you. I think I might be wanting to go Marvin, and at 109, you should be able to pull off a Bo Nix. Even if you want to move up a couple spots, maybe you can get J.J. McCarthy. Maybe you can get Drake May. Because Drake May seems to be the one that falls to like 106, 107 range. McCarthy's in that range too. I think that's personally what I would do. Try and move up from that pick, that 109 pick to 106, 107 ish to secure Drake May and McCarthy. I probably would rather do that on the clock or kind of see where things fall before you don't want to trade up and then everybody takes quarterbacks. So, but I think worst case scenario, you sit at 109 and take Bo Nix and see what happens. So, that's kind of what we're looking at here. So this is just a 1 year warp. So I wanted to look at that. We're gonna go ahead. We'll do the last 5 years of warp here for the multi-year graph. So let's have that calculate here for us. Yeah, we'll see if it's kind of the same thing, or was that last year a 1 year wonder for your league. This will be a good barometer of what your league is really about for the last 5 years if we do it. So it takes a minute for it to calculate. We'll give it here a second. But um, yeah, that's kind of what I would do. I think if I can move up there a couple spots from 109, secure Drake May or secure JJ McCarthy, I think that's probably the play I would go with for my team. This is going to take a couple minutes. Oh, and then it restarted. Sometimes it does that. We'll give it here a second more. I have your roster pulled up here up top as well on the lab, so we'll look at your roster here in a second. Um, and we'll see. There we go. Okay, so the warp is up now. So looking over, the multi-year warp here, it's pretty much the same thing. Wide receivers are pretty king. There's the running backs did creep up a little bit above the receivers there, but quarterbacks fairly consistent below running back and receiver all the way through. There's a couple spots here and there, maybe at the tops, where they cross over, but for the most part, at least quarterback 8, quarterback 9, quarterback 10 are all below the wide receiver 8, 9, and 10 as well. So, yeah, I think what we kind of talked about there is probably the way you want to go with this league. All right, let's go ahead. Let's pull up your team here. All right, so we have Seanan's team here in the Dynasty Experts League. You're ranked sixth, six in your starters, six in your bench, and all that. So that's good. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to take a look here at your quarterbacks. So you have Dak Prescott there at quarterback. Your flex quarterback is Deshaun Watson. You have Mac Jones, Jake Browning, Tyler Huntley, Tyson Bagent, Cooper Rush, Andy Dalton. Yeah, so those guys are all fine. We'll start with Dak. You have Dak and Watson as your two starters. Those guys are both, for me, top 16 quarterbacks, both of them. So I think you can definitely get by with that. Like you said, could I use a third quarterback? Sure. I think you can get by with Watson and Dak as your starters, though. So you don't have to take Caleb. So I agree with you on that. Let's talk about Mac Jones. I still like Mac Jones a lot. I think he has a lot of talent and value. Does he get another shot here in the NFL? I would like to think so, but it's going to take a year of rehab for him. So with Mac Jones, hold on to him. I like him. Jake Browning, he was obviously pretty damn good last year once Burrow went down. Browning was one of the best backup quarterback stories in the league last year, so I think you got to hold on to him. Tyler Huntley, um, being with the Browns, they have Jameis Winston, they have Huntley, they drafted Dorian Thompson Robinson last year. Um, One of these guys is going to get cut. I don't see them cut and keeping four quarterbacks. So either Thompson Robinson or Huntley's going to get cut, in my opinion. I personally would probably cut Huntley if you need the space. Tyson Bagent should be the backup there for Caleb Williams. He looked okay in his couple starts last year. I don't mind holding on to him. Cooper Rush, I think I could personally cut him. Especially, I think they have Trey Lance still. I think Trey Lance would start over. Um, if something were to happen to Dak, I get it. You have Dak too, so maybe he's worth a hold. I get why you're holding him. Andy Dalton, he's still one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league too, so I'm totally fine holding on to Andy Dalton. So I think your quarterback room, especially your backups, pretty good. Running back. So you have Saquon Barkley, Raheem Mostert. Very good 1-2 punch here for a league where, you just want a couple of decent running backs. So I think you're doing really good there with Barkley and Mostert. Obviously, Mostert is very much on the 30-year-old mark, so you might have a year or two from him left. Um, if something happens this year where your roster, Dak and Watson get hurt, whatever it is, and your team falls out, I would be fine just getting rid of Mostert for whatever you can get. If I can get a second, if he doesn't start off hot, a third, whatever, I think I'd be okay with that. No other running backs there. Antonio Gibson and Zeke, definitely guys I'm worth keeping right now. So like that. Jordan Mason. We'll see what happens here with the 49ers if they draft any more running backs today. But it seemed like Mason was playing over Elijah Mitchell there, and Elijah Mitchell can never stay healthy. So holding on to Jordan Mason, good value. Holding on to Jeff Wilson, another good value here. Like he was injured last year, so he's like the bottom of the totem pole for the Miami running backs. But Jeff Wilson's still very talented, and he knows this offense. Like one Mostert injury, one a chain injury, and Wilson is the starter for a very good offense. So definitely hold on to Jeff Wilson like that. Tyrion Davis Price, he's bounced around. He's at the Eagles now. I would just cut him. I think that's a roster clogger. Yeah, feel free to cut him. But yeah, other than that, I think your running backs are solid. Obviously, you said it's doable. I agree with that. You can definitely add maybe a guy or two here in the upcoming rookie draft, I think. All right, so let's look at your wide receivers now. So you have CD Lamb to pair with your Dak Prescott. Fucking awesome. That's great. DJ Moore, still a top 25 wide receiver. I think he does take a little bit of a ding with Odunze coming there, but DJ Moore should still be solid for the next couple years before he starts to maybe not be as high in those rankings. But I think DJ Moore's still a really good player. Michael Pittman, a lot of people like him. They got him some help yesterday in Adonai Mitchell for the Colts. So Pittman's not all alone out there, basically. But yeah, Pittman, top 15 wide receiver for me, easy. So like that. So you're doing really good there at your starting wide receiver spots. All right, so you have Nico Collins as well, another really good top 18 wide receiver type, top 20 wide receiver type. Definitely really like Nico Collins there. Obviously, he's got Diggs and Tank Dell on his team, but hey, Nico Collins had a hell of a year last year, so I like that one. Amari Cooper paired up with your Deshaun Watson for a year. Hell yeah, sign me up for that. That's great. Amari Cooper is still a really good player. I think Amari Cooper still has another 3 to 4 years in him, so that's definitely a guy I would take. Tyler Lockett, not a bad guy to have, especially if we're planning on drafting Marvin Harrison. Lockett would be on your bench. He's a great guy to throw in for a bye week or whatnot. So definitely like having Tyler Lockett, even though he's a little older. If something comes along your way to trade him away, I'd be okay with that as well. But as of right now, hold on to him for the season as a bye week replacement, basically, and see what you got. You could do a lot worse than Tyler Lockett. Let's go down here to your other wide receivers. Jawan Jennings, I think he's worth holding on to for right now in case he does get traded with the 49ers. Drafting Pearsall. They haven't traded Debo or Ayuk yet. I don't know if they're going to. I think if they would have, it would have been yesterday, so they didn't. Pearsall obviously would be above Jennings in my opinion, so Jennings might be the guy that ends up getting moved. Some wide receiver needy team comes calling, hey, what do you guys want for Jawan Jennings? Give him a 6th round pick or something for Jawan Jennings. That could happen. His value could boost right up to a better situation. So I think holding on to him right now is something good you can do. Bo Melton, I thought he looked really good there for the Packers at the end of the year, coming in for some injury replacements. He's probably the wide receiver 4 there for right now. Definitely a guy worth holding on to. Hunter Renfro hasn't found a team yet, but I still really like this guy, man. Like, I think a team that missed a slot receiver in the draft should sign Hunter Renfro after the draft. Once they figure all that out, Renfro should be a solid value. I like holding on to him. Westbrook Akine, he's kind of buried. I think that's a roster clogger. You can pick up somebody. Diami Brown, roster clogger, especially with Luke McCaffrey coming in there now. Kyle Phillips, definitely a roster clogger. Raheem Jarrett, they just drafted one of my favorite receivers, Jalen McMillan. Definitely a roster clogger. So here's 4 open spots for you to maybe find some more running backs or maybe some wide receivers that are available out there. I'll pull up the available players list here at the end, and maybe I can find out some guys for you. All right, so that is it for your wide receivers. Let's go up here to tight end. So this is a start 2 tight end league. So that's why they are a little bit important. I think at that 109 spot too, you can also consider Brock Bowers. That would be a major upgrade here for you at your tight end spot. But right now you have Tucker Kraft and Jawan Johnson. I think that's fine. to start with right now. We don't know about Kraft. Is he going to be the starter or not? I don't know. That's going to probably have to be determined. I think Musgrave ends up being the starter there, but Kraft is still going to get used. Jawan Johnson, they haven't brought in any competition for him at all at tight end. I think this is very, very sneaky tight end play, especially the way he played at the end of the year last year. He had multiple touchdown games there towards the end of the year. So I really like Jawan Johnson. That's a good one. All right, so we're going to go down here to your backup tight ends now. You have Darnell Washington and Donald Parham. Not they're just guys, honestly. You could probably do better, but you're doing the tight ends don't matter approach. They do matter though a little bit in your league though. That's the problem. You start two of them, and the 2.0 PPR they do matter in your league. So you're gonna have to maybe take some shot at some tight ends in the draft here, and just see what happens. Draft pick wise. So let's see what you got here. 3 rounds here of the draft. You have a 101, a 109, a 204, a 210, and a 303. That 303, you could take a shot at a Ben Sinnott, probably. I like Ben Sinnott with Washington. I think in a two tight end, though, league, in this premium, he might go higher than that. So maybe you're 210. I don't know. But starting at the 101, I mean, just after looking over your team and kind of the depth of your wide receivers. Like I mentioned, you have 4 wide receivers here that you can cut, and these other wide receivers aren't the greatest. I think I agree with you. I think I'm going Marvin Harrison. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. there. I'm going to slot him into the spot. Tyler Lockett goes to my bench, and I'm rolling out Marvin, Coop, Nico, Pittman, DJ Moore, CD Lamb every week. Your quarterbacks are still really good. So I agree with you. I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr., especially with the warp for this league. The way we think of Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm definitely taking him at the 101. 109. So we talked about that a little bit. If you want that quarterback, and Drake May or JJ McCarthy does fall a little bit, I'm okay. See if I can move up. Can I give up the 109 and this 204? Maybe you move back from this 204 to like a 209, something like that. Can I do that? And move up 109 to 204 and get that quarterback. Even if you have to give up your 2025 second, I'd be okay with that too. If you have to move up to get your quarterback, so that's kind of what I would be looking at there. Um, like you said, if you have to move up to 204, like we talked about it on the live stream yesterday, like if you look at this 110 to like 205 range, it is a giant tier and cluster of players that are all like equal. Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr. is in there. All these guys are going to be in there. Um, there's so many other guys to name. Jonathan Brooks. List goes on and on and on. There's such a big tier there of players where you can be okay with moving in that tier, moving to the bottom of that tier and just take the last guy of the tier. So if you have to use that the 109 and 204 to move up 2 spots, and say you move back to like the 211, 212, 209, even the 301, like I'm totally fine with that. I think that's more than fair to move up, get that quarterback, and I don't think you're missing all that much moving back there at all. So that's kind of what I would be looking to do there with your trade up opportunity. If it doesn't work out and you can't trade, so let's look at that. Marvin Harrison Jr., 101, like that. 109, you're probably in Bo Nix, Michael Penix territory. I personally would go Bo Nix just because he's going to be the starter this year and he's going to help you this year. So that's probably where I would go. That's a 204. You need some running back help. I would consider Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Blake Corum. I'd consider one of those guys there, whichever one you like. I personally would go Brooks. I have Brooks as a top 15 dynasty running back right now going to Carolina, so I would go Jonathan Brooks. I think I have Trey Benson second. He should play this year, but he's going to be splitting the work with James Conner. James Conner only has 1 year left on his deal, I'm pretty sure. So Conner could just be gone next year, and Benson slides right into that spot. And Benson becomes a definitely very highly valuable dynasty asset. 210, like I said, I think your tight end room does need some help. So, like a Ben Sinnott, if he's there, I would consider Ben Sinnott. Obviously, you could use more wide receiver help. Your depth behind your starters, excuse me, isn't that great. So yeah, you could definitely use some wide receiver help there. So you could take best available receiver, tight end. If you think Sanat could slip to that 303, then you can grab a wide receiver here and then go Sanat here or Sanat and then another running back. You still need more running backs, or a wide receiver. Probably a wide receiver, to be honest. I think with Jeff Wilson and some of these Mason Gibson, you can get by there. And then grab another wide receiver there just because you could use some depth there for sure. Let's go ahead. We'll look at your available players. All right, so Colby Parkinson's available. That's a guy I'm adding immediately. That is him and Hayden Hurst too. I think those are both guys I'm adding immediately to your team. I mean, just looking at your team here, like I said, there's a couple guys you can cut here. There's four Westbrook, Brown, Phillips, Raheem Jarrett. Those are guys that are definitely roster cloggers. I mean, Colby Parkinson should be the starting tight end for the Rams this year. That's definitely a guy I'm picking up for sure. Hayden Hurst, I think he's going to be the starter for the Chargers at tight end. I'm picking him up. Um, Royce Freeman is interesting with Dallas. They haven't added a running back yet. They could add one today. If they don't, Royce Freeman becomes interesting. Um, let's see if there's anybody else out here. Yeah, we're getting into the nobodies at that point. But yeah, if I'm you, I'm adding Colby Parkinson right now. That's a guy I'm adding right now. Hayden Hurst, I could probably add him as well, especially in this two tight end league. You don't know if Tucker Kraft is going to be the starter. I think you can get away with starting Parkinson or Hurst day one alongside Jawan Johnson. So I'd be adding those guys right now if I could. Um, and if you add both of these guys, I think your Ben Sinnott pick, you can go get another receiver or another running back, whichever you prefer, with those picks. So I think that's kind of what I would do. That would alleviate you from having to take a Ben Sinnott, in my opinion. But I'm actually surprised in a start two tight end league that these two guys are even out there still, honestly. So good picks there to pick up. All right, let's go ahead. Let's remove this. So yeah, I mean, just looking at your team here, man, I think there's um, some really good possibilities there for your team. That's kind of what I would be doing there. Take a look at Marvin Harrison, your 101. Your wide receivers would be perfect. Having those wide receivers there with that group, with your league settings and all that, you'd be super set there at wide receiver. Um, Running backs, I think, like you said, they're workable. They're doable. That's good. Quarterbacks, I would see if I can move up. Can I get that Drake May? Can I get that JJ McCarthy? If I had to rank them, I'd go McCarthy, May, Bo Nix. That would be my three priority quarterbacks there. If I can move up to get McCarthy or May, perfect, man. I think you can pull it off. I wouldn't care about moving a 2025 second if that's what that takes to get that done. Um, if you can move up from 109 to 107, offer your 2025 second to do it, and then you can keep all those picks for this year. I would go that route first, and then I would move into, okay, here's a 204 in my 2025 third. See if they do that. But that's kind of what I would be looking at to move up. But I would do it on the clock, like I said, or when it's getting closer. I think the first three picks, Caleb, Marvin, and Jaden, are pretty much locked in most leagues right now. Then after that, there's Neighbors, there's our Dunze. Brock Bowers might go higher in your league just because of the settings, starting two tight ends and the 2.0 premium. Um, you have the other quarterbacks, obviously, too, are in the discussion as well from 104 to 107 ish. So I think that's where you're going to have to move. You're going to have to move into the 107 ish range to secure a quarterback who I think is better in McCarthy or May. Um, and McCarthy and May, I think May's the better player. They just don't have a lot of weapons. McCarthy's got Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. Like McCarthy is set up to have a hell of a rookie year and to be a guy who ascends just because they put the weapons around him. You know what I mean? So um, yeah, I would prefer McCarthy if I could, and then May would be my backup. And if you can't move up, I think settling for Bo Nix is fine. Like it is what it is. It's not a guy that I love personally. I know a lot of other people don't love him either. There's a couple people out there that do like him. It's just if you look at Drake May and Bo Nix, look at their weapons at Denver. Like Denver, it's Cortland Sutton, it's Marvin Mims, it's Tim Patrick coming off an injury, Greg Dulcich who hasn't done a fucking thing in the league, Javonte Williams. Okay, it's nothing great. You look at the Patriots though. I mean, it's not much of an upgrade, but I think it's a better upgrade. You got Kendrick Bourne, you got Pop Douglas. They just drafted Jalen Polk, Hunter Henry's there, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. Juju's still there, whatever you think of him. So I think the weapons for New England are slightly better than Denver, not much. Offensive lines are probably equal. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm looking at with the quarterbacks there. I would prefer May over Nix just on talent alone, and then obviously I think May has the better weapons too. So if you have to settle for Nix, I think you're okay there. But appreciate it, Sean and man, for doing another team review with us. If you would like to get a Dynasty team review, dynastyteamreview.com. You can sign up there. You can pick myself, Koopa, Adam, Mike, or anyone if you just want anybody to do a team review for you. We'll be more than happy to do that for you. You're able to join us as well if you put it on the sheet there that you want to come on and join us. If you want it private, we can do it privately as well. Won't post it on YouTube, but we're gonna post this one on YouTube. So if there's anybody out there that is looking for that team review here, this is a great time to do it, especially with rookie draft starting. We're more than happy to help you guys and do some team reviews. So dynastyteamreview.com, sign up there. And we'll be more than happy to help you out here at South Harmon. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Sean. And once again, man, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully this helps you. You have me on Discord as well. So if you need any help during your draft or something comes up, please feel free to message me as well. I'll be more than happy to help you with any trade talk or whatever. So appreciate it, man. Appreciate all of you guys. Draft streams have been great. Been a lot of fun. Appreciate all the support you guys have given us. Just it's been awesome, man. This whole community is great. So really, really appreciate all of you guys if you stuck around to the end of this video. So thank you.